I played a lot of games during my childhood that you shouldn't. Stuff that you go to a certain friend's house just to witness the sheer craziness, and you wait as they quietly show you their copy of the game, the extremely violent M-rated game. I was that friend that hoarded these games for the upcoming apocalypse, from Mortar Chicken to Mortal Kombat. I had all these games given to me by my uncles. I'd gotten busy with newer consoles, newer games, or newer jobs. Now, even though I was outlawed to play these games at the age of 9, do you think I cared? Do you think I really cared about some arbitrary letter on the Mortal Kombat box? No, I didn't. But I deeply cared about the game Mortal Kombat. Its techno, new metal soundtrack, whatever you want to label it as, is tattooed on my brain. I used to sometimes just let it play in the background while the game switched to bots fighting each other, just to hear it play out. Funny enough, I never was much interested into fighting games, but Mortal Kombat is not about fighting at all. See, it's quite quirky. It's more of a comedy exercise, masquerading as a fighting franchise. Bluntly said, it is the funniest shit I have ever seen. Midway Studios, God rest their souls, were trying to do anything to avoid making a fighting game. Literally, they tried turning Mortal Kombat, one of the most recognizable fighting franchises that has characters who are fighting games cheerleaders, into different genres, and failed. Horribly failed. Like, holy shit, we might have made the worst game ever made fail. But just once, they actually managed to do it. They made a fun co-op beat 'em up that happens to have the most beautiful, sick, goosebumping intro cinematic of all time. This was my jam. I played this game with anyone that came to our home. It was a family tradition that I will pass on. But even if they didn't want to play it with me for whatever lame-ass reason, it was okay. I still loved playing this game alone since I was busy unlocking everything this game had to offer. And I mean it, I wanted everything. Locked characters, behind the scenes footage, concept art. I love just going into the menu and pressing random fucking buttons, seeing what word would it take me to. Since I was so young, I couldn't even read or understand what these weird ass signs even meant. So this one time, searching around in the menu of my favorite game that I played and conquered 10 times by now, surprisingly, I found something new. The game changed a bit too much. It shifted into a whole different thing that didn't resemble Mortal Kombat. There was violence and gore, but it wasn't cartoony. It didn't feel unserious. There was no loud electronic music to cover it up either, but a room covered by corpses and silence all over. The campiness of Mortal Kombat faded from the screen, left me hoping that one of these doors would open and take me back to it. Some part of my wish came true. One of them did open, and behind it was this guy. Twitching like he has gone mad, not even reacting to my presence. My only idea of how to interact with him was... There were attempts of me trying to pick the controller back up, not to continue, but to leave the game. I couldn't get my hands to stop shaking even to navigate through the menu. My final solution was turning off the console, taking the game out, and putting it back in the box. Stop playing it, don't try to think about it. Throughout years, this memory of mine started to become a dreamlike experience, an experience that as time went on became more absurd to me, as it didn't even happen. But it did happen. I know it did. The still images I remember so sharp, so clear, and intense. After about more than a decade, it was time for me to replay the game for good old memories and fun. Over the years, this game has become something of an anomaly in the Mortal Kombat franchise, since they didn't make a follow-up.
Are you okay?
It is indeed really fun, but throughout replaying it, even though my time with it was enjoyable, I couldn't fully trust the game for it to not jump at me. Maybe as time went on, it became hazier, but the impact of that memory of the game was still there. And the more I thought about it, the more out of tune it became with the game itself. I mean, this is an animated game where you kill things by cutting them into pieces, but it's pretty innocent to leave such a wound. Maybe there was an error in my copy of the game, maybe somebody did leave some random obscure horror game in there by accident or purposefully. However, searching around the menu, it was there. The answer was sitting there for the past decade or so. It was a demo of Midway's back then upcoming horror game, a sequel to The Suffering. This was exciting news to me. I mean, imagine what a masterwork in horror has to be for me to struggle to truly get it out of my mind after all these years despite not even knowing the name of it. After replaying the demo of the obscure PS2 horror game from the now defunct studio Midway's,
wash away the losers.
It breaks my heart to say it, but it left me disappointed. This game was not even a horror game. You can turn into a monster and kill everything. And it's campy. It's not Mortal Kombat campy, but it's pretty unserious. It's more of an action game than a horror experience. Maybe it does classify as horror, but in my mind, this game was labeled as a terrifying nightmare. The entire world stopped during playing it. Why is it not like this? Why I did build so much hype for this game despite it being so tame? The answer I come up to is this game is a terrifying nightmare. Any horror game, film, book, a jump scare YouTube video could be the most haunting creation ever, but only through the lens of a child who sees and feels things so fresh and so vivid. Because even the most mundane things seen through them can be remembered as how a child felt them during that moment of youthful inexperience. The echoes of childhood memories tends to be remembered louder than the sound itself ever was. But that way of living life and seeing things will fade as dust covers the lenses. I consider myself lucky to live in a time that sharing and finding media of any sort is so easy to do. Not saying it's all good and hasn't caused any harm, no. But it's pretty wonderful to play any song you can think of in the matter of seconds. YouTube is great, not the corporation behind it, but the idea of sharing any video or music through it. From a character in a video game that has 2 lines reciting the entirety of Bible,
Behold, you have a message and all Slender. Answer
to Jacksepticeye getting jumpscared by Teletubbies.
What the fuck?
Saying the 2010s were a special time on YouTube is an understatement. If you weren't there, the train is gone, you missed it. It's not going to come back again. It was the era that watching someone else play a video game went from something weird to one of the most common forms of entertainment today. Also, it gave birth to the most wanted job in the world for the upcoming unemployed. It's easy to see why this format created giants. A lot of people started recording themselves being fools and got rich and famous. So famous that some of their names can be even found in your city's sex offenders list.
Again! Oh! Again! Oh my god! Ah! Again! Oh! Ah! 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 Oh!
The Let's Players League were made by screaming their guts out at horror games. Mostly a specific sub-genre, the ones that made the player defenseless, by not giving them any chance to battle the monster. You're hunted by things you don't fully understand. You only can run away and hide, like a child, a natural coward. It resulted in a somber cat and mouse experience. They were the perfect games to watch somebody else play because they could be petrifying to play. But watching videos of these games played by a bunch of buffoons,
Okay. Why the fucking no!
it's not scary at all. It's grown-ass adults overreacting and screaming at pixels. Initially watching these videos, they seemed fun to make. Just play video games and record it. But here's the thing, 9 out of 10 kids are morons. They are too stupid to understand the basics of doing anything, so they do nothing all day long. But according to recorded data, I was the 10th child who found the concept of making videos quite charming. So instead of writing a symphony at the age of 11, I settled for setting up Bandicam with the watermarks and all that, and getting a free version of Camtasia, and being excited like Camtasia is the most barren editing app you could find in the wild, but to me it was flying a f***ing spaceship. Oh, imagine the sick CSGO montages I can make with these cool transitions. It wasn't a complicated thing to get into. Record your footage with fraps, your microphone and webcam could be your phone, thumbnails, I don't know, get a colorful background and put shit in there. The bar was low, you just had to be there and also have a personality. Something kids do not have since they don't have any soul. It's real, go ask them, they tell you. And back then, me, a little old child, tried my own hand at making Let's Plays. And one of the popular games to make a Let's Play out of was Outlast. This game was unapologetic in its presentation. You are still, like many games of its time, defenseless, except you have a camera that works as your guiding torch. It took me 10 seconds to notice the barrier I was crossing between watching someone else play it and me playing it. At first, before anything bad happened, I told myself that, well, most of these scares only work when the player messed something up. It's not going to be scary if the game is played right. My decision was to push forward into the game, thinking that's not me who would make a mistake and fail to survive.
Who's there?
After playing about 20-40 minutes of this game, my decision was to end this session, since the idea of making a video of Outlast was far more exciting to me than playing Outlast itself. While cutting down the footage, seeing my playthrough and listening to the audio, there was something disappointing about it. I could hear the game, the background noise of my microphone, but not my voice, because I was so scared that I turned it silent. There was no performance of me screaming and shouting funny swear words. Even back then as a child, I knew that that would have been a shitty video to put out, and that's a hard pill to swallow. But the right call was to not make the video and move on to newer ventures, like making a video called Sonic and Knuckles Having Sex MLG. So no, I had no standards. However, years after that, Outlast was conquered by me. Even tried the games that it got inspired from. I was a bit late to the party, but not late enough to miss out on appreciating them and know why others do too. But late to be scared of them. They can't put me in a state of fear. There is something mechanical about them that could be understood, as in how the AI navigates and behaves. But the craftsmanship, the presentation is hard to ignore. They are beautiful. They sound good and look good. Just doesn't get to me though. But there is one game from this era that still does it. And I'm ashamed to admit what game it is. The main difference between the 8 pages and its much more prestigious peers is its simplicity. The visuals, the audio are just an inch above the bare minimum. This is even carried to how Slender himself looks and functions. He doesn't open closets, he doesn't look under the bed or break through doors. He can be anywhere as far as possible. and you would still be looking right and left to see if he's close. Knowing his way of killing could be avoided by just not looking at him doesn't bring any peace. There is no way to avoid thinking about dying when it's following your steps. If you're getting chased by, let's say, a rabid dog and decide to sprint away, hoping on outrunning it, getting into a race for your life, thinking it would stop chasing if you went far enough. But how much is far enough? Is it still even there? Should I keep running? Is it still chasing? That urge, wanting to look back, is primal. However, racing with an animal that can outrun even the fastest of humans might not be the best idea ever, but here, it's not a race, but a marathon between you and your own limits of paranoia. Just know that he's there, wandering outside of your sight, but getting closer as you get closer to finishing your quest of finding the 8 pages. The most overlooked and obscure corners of Amnesia and its peers offer much more complexity than the entirety of the 8 pages. Yet they don't scare me, but the 8 pages does. All the layers of atmosphere, visuals, sounds, music, storytelling, programming, they all fall apart in front of the concept of the 8 pages. It is as effective as it is minimal. Slender's AI, which is probably the most impressive thing about it, is not that complicated. He spawns behind you and you shouldn't look. And as it goes further on, he also gets more aggressive. This ironically makes it easier to deal with since you are constantly aware of him. But sometimes he goes away, disappears, almost giving the illusion of letting you go. No matter how much you look around, he isn't there. So, is this far enough?
You're not a fighter, the opening of Outlast says. There is no way of dealing any direct damage to these psychos. You have to run, hide, and hope that it doesn't notice you. Don't try to fight with things you can't understand. Deep down in the ocean of forgotten titles from this era of horror games, there is also the unknown war, played through a perspective that is contradictory to this subgenre's rules. From the eyes of a soldier in the muddy trenches of World War I. Guns, bullets, and explosions going off around, corpses who are becoming one with the mud, and dinosaurs. So the game is taking some liberties from being historically accurate here. How could dinosaurs end up in a war fought millions of years after their demise? In a war that the ones unfortunate enough to be fighting die not knowing what it was that killed them, or what they died for. The entire goal is finding a ladder and escaping from these Jurassic monsters, using anything you can find to distract and buy time, like flares and limbs of fallen soldiers. And a gun? This gun breaks every rule. Now there is a way to stand up against whatever is chasing. This thing is alien to a game like this. It's more alien than the f***ing raptors in the trenches of World War I. The bullet shot slides off the creature with ease. The armored monster doesn't even acknowledge the attempt. Maybe it doesn't notice it because the bullet feels as light to him as another drop of rain. The gun does and is nothing but useless weight. The best shot is to wander around this nauseating maze, searching and looking every corner for the ladder, trying to avoid getting seen or heard by them. It's the only way out. It's all that could be done in this battle that, by the cruelty of the universe, you were unlucky enough to be in the middle of. Not even to fight, but to be a test subject to new, shiny, killing toys. But let's grab and not let go of that last shred of hope and say by some miracle you went unnoticed and made it, ascended from the ladder. It's going through your head that I survived, I escaped from these prehistoric monsters. But escape to where? Back to World War I? Unlike Outlast that warns you are not a fighter, here you are a soldier with a gun that can pull a trigger that does nothing to these things. It can shoot blanks instead of bullets, it doesn't matter. It's so absurd, there is no way of fighting it, you don't know how. The only way to survive it is to go unnoticed. Otherwise run. Almost how amnesia is.
Frictional games set the rules in stone for the subgenre of horror games, with the most defining one being the player shouldn't be able to defend themselves. The same rule they bent for the bunker, an amnesia game but from the perspective of a soldier in World War I, locked away in a bunker under the muddy trenches, where he's prey to this thing crawling between the walls and listening to each and every footstep. So that hasn't changed that much, but unlike before, you're no longer a child running away and hiding from your problems. Not that it's not possible to do that anymore, but there is another more pragmatic solution at play here. Guns. A tight arsenal of tools to use it against a stalker that still cannot die, but you can stand up against it and delay dying to another time at the cost of a single bullet. The catch is though, you are broke. The entire game you're in poverty, especially bullet poverty, and those few shots are going to be needed, since they can help to open locked doors faster. Believe me, it's more efficient this way, which is key here. Efficiency is key. Hiding under a bed is no longer a good usage of your time. The more scared you are, the more it's going to cost. Fuel is spilling out with each second you waste being a coward. But at the same time, you have to try to be quiet so you could not attract the attention of the monster. Yet try to do the most while crawling around at a baby's pace and be back home before the lights go out. Of course, if you fail, there is the vintage flashlight in your pocket for backup. But the brighter it gets, the noisier it becomes. It's for difficult times. It's a solution that can cause a bigger problem. Almost every solution here is a double-edged sword. It can ripple out into stabbing you in the back. You can't make a perfect decision here. There is none. Try being fast, you're gonna make noise. Try being careful, you waste fuel. Oh, use nails and bullets to pave your path quicker. You also invite the monster with echoes of the bullets. And he's here to remind you that you should have kept them to yourself. Maybe they added a gun, and Molotovs, and nades, and gas nades, and a pump-action shotgun. But is it enough to make peace with the maddening dark? Inside this closed and forgotten box that you found yourself trapped in, trying to make it to another second while lost in the pitch black, there can be seen a soft beam of light, pulling attention to an inviting ladder that from here could be the ladder to heaven itself. Climbing up to a place with light that doesn't cost any fuel. It's a nice moment to get reminded and stare at life going on outside of this hell. But this image doesn't take long to be ruined. All these hope and fantasies of escaping is weaponized against you. And escape to where? Back to World War One? There aren't many horror games that I managed to finish as a child, but that doesn't mean never trying them and not get a taste. Every time a new one came out, there was a cycle of me thinking, okay, this one looks good. This is like the popular thing now, and I'm all grown up now. I'm like 14. I can take it. Yeah, did you accept I played this game? This was my horror game cycle, my interaction with all of them, except for one game. To this day, it's unknown to me how this game found its way to my family's computer next to familiar and vibrant games that made Limbo's cold black and white art style shine. Once I took a glance at it, it was printed in my mind and stayed there. The rustling sound of the wind wandering between the leaves or any sound of nature becomes the main attraction to the ears, since it can get quiet. There is no dialogue, the entire story is shown through murky fogs. Anything you guess you can see will be the story. Though in concept it's simple. Boy looks for girl. It is confirmed that it's a boy looking for their sister, but most of the time it's about a boy lost in the woods, trapped with danger, trying to outsmart the odds. Limbo isn't quite the Amnesia-esque game. It's different in presentation and dimensions, but shares one huge element with other games of this time. The stalking monster. This giant spider that can make you seem this small, insignificant bug on the ground. In its introduction, it waits there, blocking the way with confidence, almost mocking you, knowing eventually to move past it, you have to make a mistake. But that way of thinking results in the spider itself making a mistake, as it gets outsmarted by this small child. But this is only the beginning of this unfair rivalry. The spider again finds you with an appetite for revenge. You cut its limbs with a trap, so it's only fair that it traps you with its webs, then leave while you try to force a way out when suffocating alone, tangled up in the webs. But yet another mistake. Despite this, the boy still lives and moves webbed on. The spider once again comes back, this time to get this over with and finish the boy. No more twisted traps. It seems frustrated that this small defenseless child got away for this long, but that rage ends in it getting hit by a boulder and thrown off into a deep pit. Yet again, it comes back. Still surviving on, but this time it doesn't move towards you with confidence because it can't do that anymore with only one limb. It lost everything trying to get this small boy killed. Now the boy takes revenge from the spider that caused him trouble by removing its last limb and using the body to bridge over a spiky pit. It is such a satisfying moment, a brutal turning of tables. The spider, the stalking creature, is torn apart to its last limb.
However, the dangers don't end here. Traps and also human beings trying to kill you for one reason or another. But like you, they are also vulnerable to traps laid around here. There is this one puzzle after everything went down with the spider, where a pit is in the middle of the way, so one jump isn't enough to make the distance, unless if you fill the pit with water and use the log for a second jump. But for all this to happen, you need to somehow put energy into this wheel to get the water in the pit to begin with. The solution is tricking a small animal into the wheel, trapping it in an endless march for freedom, so the boy could dive deeper into the limbo as it becomes quieter.
There is no more immense monster chasing your tail, but still you have to watch your steps for traps,
Which were present even from the beginning, but not as advanced. They were primitive. Sometimes they were more elaborate, but still nothing out of the ordinary. Bear traps and spikes. Till they disappeared. It's not like before anymore. The dangers come in different shapes. Mostly the things that can end up killing you are your mistakes, and yours only. There is nothing else to blame it on. The traps stop being primitive. They tend to get more industrial and bigger, require more and more sophistication. Most of them weren't even made to be used for killing, but that's the purpose they serve now.
blades that can tear apart through anything, grinding your flesh down to its nucleus.
Gears that can crush you like a bug in the ground without even noticing. And the exception, just straight up torque guns. Even the air seems trapped here. It's isolating. There is barely anything alive inside these cold factories that have the ability to distort reality itself, turning you into a little pointless speck with no other way but to keep running on enormous gears that can turn the world upside down, shrinking your existence as the parts continue to get bigger, forcing you to dive even deeper into this pool of mechanical parts that serve only another one. Yeah, fell inside this frozen lake of industrial hell, stuck inside a machine, continuing to just and only exist by turning its gears and making it function without knowing what it does. In times like this, you could start to miss the simplicity in the primal danger of running away from a big creature compared to the isolation of this industrial jungle. Limbo Leon gives you the pleasure of killing the thing that hunts and make you the hunter, only to leave you alone in still corridors with nothing to hunt.
The person who came up with the concept of Limbo wanted the game to be as genuine as he saw it in his own head. So he was very picky on who to share this idea with. He decided to present a tiny slice of the game so maybe he could attract an interested programmer, which turned out to be successful. He was also bombarded with publishing deals from all over, and yet the game still had difficulties getting funded because they chose to ignore those. He feared the worst that could happen to his game, having it to be taken away, dismantled and remolded into something that it's not, becoming commercialized and losing that touch that kept Limbo intact. Maybe this was the result of being paranoid for caring too much, but he had to know of something that made him this afraid. Since he wasn't alien with making video games because of his time as a concept artist, and he liked that job, he was contributing to the craft of making games and providing a living based off of it. It's good to be part of something that you care about. However, throughout time, everything started to shift in a different direction. A direction that valued efficiency above anything, squeezing every last second of working that a human being can do. A direction that can turn even the most passionate to be a mindless shell, counting each second as they complete a meaningless task to start another one. His hatred began to grow as there were more unnecessary steps to getting anything done. According to himself, it became harder to get ideas through. From my perspective back then, Limbo was just a simple puzzle game, like many other games found in the same folder. This one just happened to be in black and white and sound eerie, but there was no problem with finishing it. It is a horror game, but it only earns that title if you can shape thoughts about it, and frankly, kids can't do that. Kids can't really think about anything really. It's not meant to scare you in short term. What I mean by short term is see, I call this a classic short term scare. It did get you, but you're gonna forget about it in 5 minutes, I promise. Unless if you're a kid who stumbled upon this video by some calculation of the cosmos because God is cruel. Now you're traumatized. I'm sorry, man. Don't blame me though. This is not my fault. It's just fucking awful Flash game, man. I'm just repeating the cycle here. As a kid, since my gaming equipment was always at least one generation or so behind everybody else, the only way for me to experience these brand new games was to watch them through a solid glass window, aka going to my friend's house and backseat as they play through the new Spider-Man game. But they didn't know about my secret weapon, the tool that let me play all these games on my weak-ass computer. The trick was going on Google and search for the Spider-Man Flash game. Now that Flash game keyword is vital if you're broke, bored, and your computer is running on hopes and dreams. But there it was, Spider-Man, the video game. 1,000 of them actually. Screw those polygons. This is the real thing. This is the substance. This is art. The shit I seen Spider-Man doing these games, they would never have him doing an official game. And this was where the realization hit that the internet is run by lunatics, and we are lucky they found Adobe Flash to be more interesting than the neighborhood's cult.
Alright guys, I'm playing this old Flash game, and this one is kinda messed up. I gotta warn you guys, read all these texts on the screen because it's getting messed up, because as you can see down here, people pee out in public, and I don't want you guys to see that shit.
Back then, my cure to boredom was to scour the obscure corners of the web, places that had the stench of trouble like virusgame.com, not affiliated, looking for Flash games that nobody else probably ever played. But now, I'm old, and Flash is fucking dead, and those games are gone forever because the only person who noticed them and found them interesting was me. Sometimes a frame of one of them races through my head after many years of not thinking about it and gets me nostalgic. But no matter how much searching is done, there is no trace of any of them. No matter how hard I dig into my head, no matter what new detail comes across for me to describe the game just a tiny bit better. Maybe they are still out there, sitting in a dark corner for many, many years. Maybe the phrase "nothing is ever truly gone from the internet" is true. But when you think about it, the internet is not an ocean, but a universe, expanding every second, consisted of galaxies worth of hay, covering a piece of media that is so lost, even in my own memory, that it might be made up.
Those games are unreachable deep down in a bottomless pit. They are so lost it wouldn't make an ounce of difference from them being deleted. It is a miracle if one of them is ever found again. And a miracle it was. When lost in my many tabs open, there was this page for this indie game that barely anybody played. What did even led me to this page? I didn't remember. There was a slight sense of familiarity with the name of the game, but it was a description that made me remember. Remake and reimagining of an old, forgotten game.
A small being the same size of a single cell, crawling around and eating away other equally minuscule grains of the human body. It's not big enough to be noticed among the sea of human cells, but big enough to shape thoughts. It's not a part of nature, it's aware of itself and its fleshy surroundings that it resides in. It feels things and wants things. The emotion it has is resentment and anger, caused by longing for life, is stuck forever in non-existence, planned with the will to live, but denied the life it wants. It takes away more and more from its butter that stole its ticket to life. Takes more from this child that could have been him. Consuming his cells isn't enough anymore. It moves on to organs to fill the void of life. Its aspirations outgrows its appetite. It might crawl and eat away of his twin brother like a parasite, but believes the real thief is this child who stole his body. It grows big, too big to be ignored, bigger than the small body is capable of containing. It tears it apart and says their first word. All existence, let me be known.
This game was deleted, along with the rest of the author's work. It's a shame because it is such a disgusting, memorable game. It's not built like other Flash games that is meant to be played more than once or twice. Nevertheless, once you do play it, it is burned in some corner of your brain. It's never leaving there. One of the simplest yet most effective works of body horror that has been ever made. And it's gone. Of course, you can play it on Hey, we will f*** your computer so hard in the ass it would crash and die.com. But the version on Newgrounds is killed and buried and eaten away by ants. Not because of Flash shutting down or anything, no, it got deleted way before that because, not kidding, the person who made this allegedly thought his games were cringe. This guy made such a good game that anybody who played it couldn't quite forget it, but he wanted them to. And somebody cared enough to remake this small Flash game. Somebody liked it so much that they remade the cringe. Even though so many people, including me, will disagree with him about the game being so bad it had to be deleted, it makes me sad to say, but if I were in his shoes, I would have done the same. There are about 15 videos on this channel, and about 7 more on the other if my memory is not failing me. However, this is not where my catalog of videos ends. This number is much larger. It goes up in hundreds, leading to thousands of videos throughout an entire decade. They range from me discovering that people record themselves playing games and talk about games in video form. I put them out there on some corner of the web for other people to be entertained or informed or whatever they intended for. The 12-year-old me just sounded pretty cool. My decision was to become a part of this thing by recording my TV screen playing Gears of War with a very low quality 480p camera. As years went on, the videos became more complex than that in one way or another, as my experience increased in doing just about anything in life, especially getting a little savvier with the process when my mind finally put 2 and 2 together and found out videos that are entertaining require more than one ingredient. Stuff like, I don't know, following a script rather than babbling and hoping something worthwhile happens.
which was never the case, and it always turned out to kids trying to force out something funny. Yet also, following a script shouldn't sound as dull as it reads, and it should sound improvised, even though everything is super planned out. And editing is where I spent half of my youth trying to fix shit that was beyond saving. But uploading is a stage of reflection upon capital and finance and money that these videos actually make. Alright, let's go back to selling crack. It might seem surprising, I wasn't born with knowledge as valuable, but born knowing how to make Sonic and Knuckles having sex MLG. It took a lot of bad videos of Sonic having intercourse with other characters, probably against Sega's will, to learn all of the tricks. But beyond my distant, foggy childhood memories, I could never trace the exact route that took me here, cause I deleted them. At the time, a handful of people saw them. All of them were kids around my age, also doing the same things. This data is available to me because sometimes my list of sophisticated and kind colleagues left their priceless words under my video. Like, man, this was amazing. I cried like a lot, man. It was beautiful.
Why may I sub you? Please sub me back.
If you don't know what this means, it translates to nobody cared. Nobody actually sat down to watch these videos, but thank God they didn't. Because if me, the person who made these, has a stroke every time a frame of one of them passes through my subconscious, God has to reach down and help the rest of us to avoid these. And he absolutely did. So there was nothing holding me back from deleting them and saving me some embarrassment. At the time, I had no idea what was I destroying. These videos are guaranteed not good, but they are important. Well, important to me. They were important enough for anybody else to keep a copy or try to remake them, God no. But whether I like them or not, whether they were cringe or good, it's my steps in learning how to do a thing while having no idea how anything works. The person in those videos is not me, it's a different human being that turned into me. And I betrayed that person because I thought he was cringe. Being able to keep records of ourselves doing just about anything is the closest thing to magic. It took eons worth of human-made miracles to get to this point. And for just about a speck in existence, we can hold a moment. Keeping records of the past is the only weapon we have against the passage of time. But at the very least, there are slices remaining. Some older videos are still available, privated for myself for annual revisitings. It's a beautiful thing these specific batch of videos survived, because these are the ones that document my journey in acquiring a taste for horror games.
I think we got everything, let's go. Dude, your stamina's messed up.
Yeah, I'm pissing myself. Take the EMF, let's go.
I got EMF.
That's not the EMF, that's the voice recorder. That's the EMF on the ground.
I think did they change the, like, how it looked like? Did they change the model? Let's go get it.
Let's go. Dude, think of the fucking, like, pussy we're gonna get after this.
Yeah, people are gonna wet themselves in your Brevia. I'm gonna put your number on screen just in case for anybody who's interested.
If you missed the craze or have not had the pleasure of playing Phasmophobia, it's simple. Get a couple of friends, run around a haunted place, and guess the type of ghost that's haunting it. This is achievable because every ghost is unique to a type, so it behaves different, and this behavior leaves traces in some form or shape. And you can talk with them. Just straight up, open your mic, and talk plain English with them.
Okay, let me try something.
And wait for their response.
Holly, could you prove your existence by writing something down on this paper? Okay. It's over.
Initially hearing about the concept of going in the room, being alone, trying to have a heart-to-heart with a rabid demon while my friends are laughing their asses off, it was off the table. Clear to me that this is not my type of thing. Staying away from this one, guys. But each one of my friends ostracized me when they were busy playing this damn ghost game. And for about a year, the entire human population were swarming this game like bees, harassing ghosts, repeating the same dumb questions 80 damn times. You got me curious, what caused this game to be this popular?
Just ask us something, anything.
Ollie, I'm madly in love with you. I low-key wanna have sex with you right now.
Okay, you gotta stop hitting on dead women while I'm recording, man. You there?
Phasmophobia relies on horror to function as the funniest shit I have ever seen. It's hard to imagine the intention was vice versa, and yet playing this game was a step equal to hiking a mountain for someone who avoided everything this genre had to offer. My appreciation for horror rooted in here, playing this for making videos with friends that nobody saw except us. My hope every time was maybe one of these gets more than usual, which 1,000 or 500 was more than usual, and it remained that way till the channel's last days. But those failed videos now have marinated into a scrapbook. Videos of teenagers saying random shit and having fun, and making these videos, whether it was the intention or not, documented those times. And it also gave me an excuse to try horror games. At some point, not even for videos, for fun, and only for the sake of playing a game. But after playing them, getting soaked in, drowning in somebody's nightmare, it left my jaw dropped on the floor with words stumbling out for hours upon hours. So was I dodging an entire genre of media that has produced some of the greatest works of all time because I gaslit myself into being a pussy? Apparently yes, but none of these playable nightmares, no matter what trick they pull, are going to leave as deep as a wound as that Shaolin Monk's PS2 demo did. It is ironic, despite my best attempts to hide away from anything that caused me to feel fear, they always found a way to make me remember that horror can be avoided. The hazier their memories become, the more fabricated their lies seems. The passage of time only sharpens their horrors.